guys, thanks for watching again. This video is finally up and I'm really excited because it came out beautiful, but this was a monster of a project because the hard drive failed and I had everything done. It was all ready to upload, but I didn't get it up in time and I lost it all, but I did have the raw footage. So I'm excited to say I got it all back together and I'm going to be uploading the different parts of this video because it's a long one. In this video I'm going to show you how to use a biscuit joiner, a scroll saw. I haven't showed those tools before. Also how to take dents out of wood, and we're going to steam some wood for bending. And we're going to take the shield pretty far along and then finish it up in the later videos. And I got a couple exciting things I want to share with you later at the wrap up. We'll probably do it at the end of the third video or later on. So check out the future videos. Be sure to watch to the end for some other things I want to talk about. But anyway, that's enough. I don't want this video any longer than it has to be. So I hope you guys have fun building this. As always, there's a printout in the description below. Click the links, check on that. Check me out on Facebook. I'll be on Twitter, all that kind of good stuff. Don't forget to subscribe, please. We're already at about 9,000 subscribers. I can't believe it. And what else? I think that's it. Anyway, enjoy the show, guys. And I hope you have fun building one. If you do, send me some pictures. I want to see it. All right, that's it. First thing you need to do is print out the template. These lines here are just to help you line it up. So if you shine light through it, you should be able to see those dotted lines. So you can match this dotted line onto that one. That'll just help making sure everything's straight. Alright, here's the pine board I'm going to use. This is a knotty pine. You see the knots in it. This is 11 inches wide and 3/4 thick. This is no good, but I have it, so I'm going to use it. I'm going to try to avoid the big knot holes like this. This is the same wood that we did and that we used in the last shield video. So it's actually cupped, meaning it's warped this way. And that will give the shield a bit of a curve. And by the way, you want to make sure you have both halves cut right. Otherwise, your shield, if you're using warped wood, is going to warp up this way, and then on this side it's going to go almost like an S. So it's bubbling this way, and this half is going to bubble that way. I just realized I got Cub Scouts coming over here really soon, so let's see if I can hurry up and cut this out and glue it. This is a circular saw, just simple saw. It's kind of rough for this, so I'm going to cut far away from line because this will tend to sliver up the wood and I don't want to do that. So here we go. Okay, well, these two pieces go together like that. It's a big shield. Here's how we're going to join these two pieces of wood. I have my biscuit joiner, and what this does, it's this spinning blade. You push and you can see that little blade cuts a little slot. These are called biscuits. You put some wood glue on them and half slips in each side and it joins it together. You could use a drill and some dowels, just shove them instead of these. You'll see how they go in. Or you can make this out of plywood and that'll keep it together. Or we're going to sandwich this with a couple extra pieces of wood anyway, so that'll help strengthen it. But so you got to figure out, if you did a whole sheet of plywood, you won't have to join this. And you can actually still warp plywood. You just get it really hot, put some boiling water on it, put some weight on it, and it'll bow. And So let's get this going. Let me put some marks on where I want the biscuits. Okay, so one here, one way up top there. Let's put a lot. Let's do 5. Okay, so I'm going to line these up. Let's do a mark here, 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 and right there. Now, as long as this is set for the right depth, there's a little mark on the side here. I'll flick this around so I make sure everything's on camera. Yeah, so if I push it in, that's a little high. So, all right. Whoops. That was the wrong one. Okay, so if I spin this little knob right here on the side, the red mark moves, and that shows me where it's going to cut, so I can tighten this knob here. Now the slot that it cuts out is going to be right in the middle. Okay, so I think that's it. Oh, let me make sure this is the right size biscuit. These are 10s. Yeah, so I can adjust the size. You can get different sizes of these. There's a mark right here. See that little red mark on the tool? And I'm going to line that up with this little pencil mark. All these little pencil marks that I made on the top. And then once it's all lined up, then you just pull the trigger and it cuts a little slot. Alright, see? This little thing goes in there with some wood glue. It swells up, and it's a really nice way to join pieces of wood like this. So I'm going to go ahead and cut all the rest. I'm going to brush it on both sides because I really want there to be a lot of glue. There we go. And like I said, if you don't have a biscuit joiner, which is what that tool is called, you can use just a drill and some dowels, or whatever you want to get these two pieces joined. You can do a lot of bracing on the back of the shield that you won't notice on the front. Okay, so now I'm gonna get a bit of glue on the biscuits themselves. Alright. Slip it in. There we go. And these two pieces clamp together like that. And because they're cupped, it's going to be a little more difficult. I'm going to line up the pencil marks. Okay. I've never tried to clamp warped wood like this. This is a first, but I think it'll work. Let's see. bend it a bit more. There we go. All right, that's working. It's working! All right. I think that's worked pretty good. That's actually awesome. Let me show you. All right, I don't know if you can see how warped that is, but that's got a real nice curve to it. So I'm just going to let all this glue drip out, and we'll let this dry for a day. So we'll jump back into this project tomorrow. Alright, we're here at Lowe's, and they have these what's called button plugs, and these are going to work for the rivets here. You can see there's domed and there's flat. We don't want the flat, we want the domed, and this that's probably too small. Try 1 inch. Look at that. Now that's upside down, but that's perfect. So see how many they give us in here. 6, and we need 6, so that'll work. You can see they have some really wide pine boards. These are actually slats glued together. You can't warp this as easily because the grain alternates when they glue it. But here's a, let's see, this one's a 20-inch wide, so that's the right width there for the shield. You can see that's already cupped a little bit. You have some choices if you want to get some wood without joining the two pieces together. Let's see, here's poplar. There we go. A thinner piece. This is a 1/4 inch. There. And we'll use this for some of the detail here. It's harder, and I think it'll work. So let's go buy that. Should be dry now, and as you can see, I used the clamps so that when it bent, it would press against this part of the clamp. If it was bowing this way, it just pops straight out. What I'm going to do is add wood on top so it's thicker. If you wanted to just quit here and cut in and do a relief carving, you can do that as well. You can do whatever you want, obviously. On the back, this is the back printout here. One idea I had was using a router and going in and just cutting all this down, and that would be real simple. But I think I'm going to try and add wood. So I'm just using this real thin plywood, and that's just some cheap junk I had left over. And so I'll cut a strip, put that down the middle, and then just add those parts in. But I think this is going to go well. So right now, let's cut out this shape. Now before I put anything on here, I got to chip off the glue. This part's going to get covered up, so it doesn't have to be a beautiful job. This is the underside of the shield, the back of the shield. Okay, now on the top I want to be more careful. I'll still sand it down, but I don't want any big gouges if I can help it. Good. Done. Man, that's a nice curve. I'm real happy with that. Alright, good enough. Let's cut this center strip. This is the large shield, and that's a strip of wood I'm going to put here, and that's 2.5 inches wide. So let's cut that now. Okay, I put a pencil line down the center here, so when I glue this onto the back of the shield, I can match the line up with the seam of the wood, so I know it's right in the middle. And there's probably a better way to clamp this. I mean, you could even use little brads or nails or whatever, but this is what my brain came up with, and so this is what I'll try. I'm going to put a clamp here and here, and hopefully there's enough pressure. Maybe I'll shove a little piece of wood here in the middle too. Let's get some glue on here and clamp it up. Here, like I thought, there's no glue oozing out here, so let's see what I can wedge in there. Go grab something. There we go, that's good enough. I see it beading just barely. Let's wipe off some of this excess. I'll have to chisel it out later. Alright, so now while that's drying, we're going to cut out the hawk or falcon. Does anybody know what that is, that emblem, the red bird in the middle? And you can use 1/4 inch or thinner. Now on the shield, this, you could just paint it. You don't even have to do this because it's totally flat. But I want it to raise a bit. And my brain's telling me don't, but I think I'm going to use this particle board. This is just a bunch of wood fibers pressed together. And the bad part will be when it gets to here, if it starts, you know, chipping up on these fine parts there. But I think I'll try it just to see. If it doesn't work, I can just, you know, paint it, take it off and paint it instead. But I'll try it. This is probably 1/8 of an inch thick. This is really thin, and I don't have any wood big enough this thin, so I'm just going to use this, see what happens. So I got the printout. Just going to use glue stick so that it comes off easy. You know how this glue is really not that great. I don't want it to stick too well, so let's put that on there. Something like that. Now that just saves me from tracing. You can cut it out and trace it if you want. Again, remember these, if this is all you have, you can use this. Get in there and cut everything around. But I'm going to try out this tool here. This is scroll saw, and how it works is you have this really fine blade. It's held really tight and tiny teeth on it, and this whole thing moves up and down real fast. And I picked this up for 40 bucks. Somebody was getting rid of it on a online classified. So, and check this out. Check out Delta's logo. I never noticed that before. See that? Funny, huh? Let me get it real close. See, those teeth are pointed down, so it cuts on the downstroke. This just has 2 speeds. And it has that little this little thing here which blows away the dust, helps blow it away. So let's get this going. And what's nice about this is you can see how far back you have room to cut and spin your wood. I can put in a pretty big piece of wood here, but I'm just going to chop this in half and work with this smaller piece. So again, I've never used one of these. Let's go a little faster here. So that's slow speed. That's fast. Okay, you can see it cuts really nice, and that's no sanding, so I'm really happy with that. But I gotta mount this on a separate table here because this thing was walking all over the place, shaking the whole table. And right when I finished, now I got to clean up this. I had my glass on the edge of the table, so it starts shaking. It's gonna shake stuff right off. So let me mount this onto something else and I'll cut all the other pieces out. Alright, I got it bolted to this little stand now, so this should be a lot better. I don't want anything else falling off tables. A lot of stuff fell off while I was doing that last piece, so let's get going. I think I'll wait to glue these on. This is kind of delicate stuff, and I don't want to mess it up later because this is, you know, this is just like a thick cardboard. It breaks easy. So that's going to go there. Now I'm going to cut these funky shapes here. And in this I'm going to use, let's see if you can see the sticker. See, it's 3/8 inch thick. And it's just pine. So it's nice and clean, there's no knot holes. And that's because we have to bevel these, so it's going to need some height to it. So I'll get busy cutting that now. Okay, so we got this all cut out, just one of them. I'm going to transfer these markings onto this wood. Let's see, just by cutting it. And that should leave a line, because I need to know where the high point is so I can shave this down. So now I'm going to clean up the edges on the belt sander again, like we do in a lot of projects, and to straighten it up, and then I'll bevel these from flat right here at the edge all the way to that center mark. So before I'll do that, I'm just going to darken some of these lines. Alright, there we go. You can see the lines. Now I know I need to sand all the way up to that point. So here we go. More fun sanding. Here it is now. I've done as much as I can on the belt sander. So now I'll have to do all this inside stuff by hand, and hopefully it's not that terribly difficult. We'll find out. I've been spending some time trying to carve it down, and this is way too tedious. So what I'm going to do is just cut it on certain angles here so that I can sand down just like I did the outside, and then I'll just put it back together and use some filler. That'll save me so much time. It's just not worth trying to get in there, and I won't be able to do a great job anyway, so let's just try it like this, huh? So here are all these pieces. Now I cut them all so I could sand them, and though it's probably not the way to do it, it is a way to do it. So if anybody has another idea on how to do this easier than I did, I'd like to know. Now I'll just jump to do this one, and the same thing with these, the Triforce triangles, just sanding the edges. These are super easy compared to that. That was not fun. But I think it'll come out okay. I'll have to use a little bit of wood filler here and there, but I think it'll work. So let's keep going. Okay, now I'm going to jump to finishing this, you know, the piece of reinforcement that goes around here. It's just more of this wood. And so I'm going to cut this template up and add on this shape here, this kind of E shape. On the outside edge, I left about 1/8 of an inch extra because that gives me some room to move it around, and then I'll just sand it down flat, so I don't have to worry about that. On the inside edge, though, I went right to the line. So now I'm going to peel off the paper, and we'll glue it down. So I'm going to, on this part here, not on this part, but on the inside here, just sand down everything, because it's easier to do now while I can hold it and spin it around. Okay, we're going to take a break now and let this dry. I got it all C-clamped, a bunch of C-clamps all the way around the edge. There's no nails or anything. I'm using this bar again to force, because remember this is cupped wood, so it's forcing down the center, because this piece wants to go straight. And so right now I just got to clean up all this wet glue. I'm going to scrape it out while it's wet, because it'll be a lot easier. So I'm going to clean that up, we'll let it dry. And then tomorrow we'll do the same thing on this side, and we can work on the other side of the shield as well. So we'll take a break, and I will see you tomorrow. Alright, this should all be dry. It's been here forever. And next I'm going to take this on the belt sander and sand down the edges so that these two pieces are flush with each other. Rather than having a round edge, I decided just to hold it at an angle, the sander, and so I got a 45-degree here. I don't know how well you can see it. I'll show you that in a second, but let me show you what I mean. So I'm not rocking the sander like this, I'm just holding it straight at 45 degrees. Okay, I don't know if you can see it here, but it's a flat edge, and then flat like that. And I figure sharper angles are going to look nicer and more, you know, more like metal construction rather than a totally rounded edge. Okay, right here I got a little sloppy with a clamp, and when I put the wood on, it's not going to be far enough to cover this up. Some of the other clamp marks are okay, but this one's sticking out too far. So I'm going to try a trick I've never done before. It's getting it wet and then using some heat to try to lift the grain back up. If not, I'll just fill it in, but I'm going to try that. So I have the iron I'm going to use. Here, let me zoom out. This is just for putting the covering on model airplanes, on RC airplanes. That thin plastic, it melts it onto the wood frame. But so you could just use a regular iron, but this is what I'm using, in case you're wondering. Okay, so let's get some water. Okay, I don't know how hot this gets compared to a regular clothes iron, but let's find out. I think you're supposed to put cloth on it or something, but I don't care. Actually, that worked. Yeah, cool. Let's try it again. I'll show you it from a different angle. Alright, so here's another mark. It's right on the edge. It's from, you know, one of these clamps that just pushed. This one doesn't matter because it's going to get covered up by wood, but I want to show you again anyway. Let's do this in real time. I'm going to get it wet. Just wait a little bit for the water to soak in. Okay, now I'll take the iron. I didn't wait as long on this time to let the water soak in, so let's see. Wow, that is, I can barely feel it. Let's try it again. This is pine, so I don't know what it's like on harder woods. Yeah, I can't even feel it. You can see the mark, but I can't feel where it is. Cool, so I'm gonna give this a light sanding. Normally, if you just try to sand that out, you're gonna have a dip really low, and you know, you're not gonna want that. Cool. All right, guys, well, the weekend's over, and I got some time today, and what I'm gonna do now is work on the face frame. Let me make sure it's in the frame. Yeah, you can see it. So that's this whole border all the way around. And again, if you're doing plywood, you could just cut this out of one piece and clamp the whole thing on around. I'm going to do separate pieces. I'm going to cut it out of pine. But one thing I noticed, let's say you're doing this whole curve here. So you print out your template, you cut it out, you're using the glue stick or whatever you're going to adhere it to with. And what'll happen is this will bend. The glue messes up the paper a bit, and it tweaks it. So by the time you get to this end, you could be cutting your template out about 1/4 of an inch off. So instead, leave a lot of the paper on. That'll keep it from twisting around like that. I'm going to start with, let's see, I'll start with the longest pieces. That way I get those out of the wood that I bought. If you start cutting all your small pieces out, you might not have any pieces big enough to do your long stuff. So when you start cutting things out, go with the biggest pieces. That way when you're cutting out something small like the Triforce or something, you could fit that little triangle in somewhere else in one of the little scraps rather than just chopping up your wood and then you're left with nothing. Alright, just like last time, I'm going to cut with some extra around this outside edge. I don't want to go right up against it because it'll give me some room to sand down. So I'm going to give it, you know, about 1/8 of an inch around extra. On the inside edge, I need to cut that right to the line. So I cut everything out, and on the top edges or the outside edges of the frame, again, I left a little bit of space so I can just sand it down. And let me lay all this out. I'm going to show you something here. Because the shield's curved, what's going to happen is, like on this piece, you see this gap? Let me take off the camera and show you. You can see this piece, how much that comes up. Now I can just clamp it and bend it down, but let's say your shield is more curved and that's really putting a lot of stress on here. You can just boil this piece of wood and it'll flex, it'll bend. Before I glue all these down, I'm going to put a little bit of a beveled edge on here because it's going to be easier while it's off. Plus I still got to sand a little bit, so let's do that now. I'm just going to use a block of wood with some sandpaper wrapped around it. But I don't want to bevel it right here. I put some marks where the next piece of wood is going to join. I'm just going to hold it at a 45-degree angle. And just rub down the edge. Real simple, real easy to do. Anyway, I'm going to do that to all the other pieces. Alright, that works really well on the flat edges. Let's see how it works on this curve. Got to do the inside curve. Let's try this one. Alright, that's the way to do it. So as I'm pushing down, I'm also going this way as well, and that's going to do it just perfectly. I drew some lines, you can see extended this center line all the way down the edge, and that will help me line it up with the center of the shield. So it's on both edges there. Same with the top piece. I'll put a little line there. And what I'm going to do is clamp these top and bottom pieces down so they don't move, but I'm not going to glue them yet. It's going to be a little tricky, and I got to put wood so I don't mar it. Make sure this edge is lined up. Alright, you can see here is where this piece of wood is going to go. And I sketched again. I laid this template down and sketched where I would have to sand that off, and then this is right against the edge. So everything on this side of the pencil mark needs to leave. And I extended this line down so I knew where that went. I mean, I'm being pretty meticulous here, but I think it'll work. Because the awkward part is there's so many pieces of wood. So I just dry clamped all of these in place. These pieces, this piece is just sitting here. I'm going to glue this one tonight. And I'm running out of C-clamps. I really should buy some more. I'd do both sides, but I'm going to do one, then use the clamps for the other. Just going to add some glue, clamp it up, and we'll do the other side. Okay, remember how the shield's curved, so if I'm putting this straight piece of wood on the edge, you can see it comes about 1/4 inch, but that's enough. The clamps, for the clamps to work, I can just clamp it down. Alright, while the glue is drying, I'm going to get to work on the Triforce. cut out the template. And it's going to be put on 1/4-inch poplar. I'm going to line this edge up right here on this already straight edge, so that that's one less straight edge I got to cut. Okay. I laid this out so that the thickness of the blade will go right between these two, so I might get 2 on 1 cut. Let's see if I can do that. Okay, something like that. So I got the blade at exactly 30 degrees. Okay, here I got my belt sander upside down again, and this is kind of standard issue if you've seen a lot of my videos. I do a lot of shaping on a belt sander, and this is a hand belt sander. You can get stations, and those are better. But I don't own one, I just got this, and this works for me. So I cut this, I still got an edge that I got to take off, and then I'm going to bevel it all the way to there. Now the Triforce on the shield, the angle will go all the way to like a razor edge. I'm not going to do that. I don't want to try to balance that out so meticulously. I'm just going to go and leave a bit of a flat edge on these sides. So now I'm just going to hold it at an angle and try to come all the way up to here, and not to this edge but wherever it goes. You know, so I'll kind of get used to the angle wherever I'm holding it, and then I'll just repeat it on all, what is it, 9 edges. Alright, well, we should be able to take all this stuff off. It's been a few hours, probably about 3. It's long enough for me. So now we got both left and right sides locked in, and that frees up a lot of clamps. So normally this should be positioned about right there, but you can see it's going to leave some gaps. Because I have just a little bit of extra wood at the bottom here, I can push this right against and fill in these gaps there. And now that's it. So I'll just put on some glue and clamp this one down. And when you're gluing this piece on, don't forget to put some glue on these side pieces here as well. We just use the glue stick, if you remember. So it's a pretty wimpy glue, which is what we want. We'll soak it first. You can see I already cut a notch out here, just testing it and practicing. Yeah, that's coming off easy. Now, while we're still waiting for that to dry, I cut the inside out of this template. And what I'm going to do now, just transfer some markings where the Triforce triangles need to go. Here's the head of the bird, here's the lower body, something like that. Now I can glue these on. Now for me, this shield is flat right here. There wasn't much cupping, so it's going to make the placement of these pretty easy. So I'll have these like this, but I'm going to need to draw a line perpendicular here to this center seam so that I know that these triangles, because the last thing you want is one of these crooked. I mean, that's just going to bug you forever. That comes off so easy. Alright. Pretty cool. Looking good. I decided to bend these with some steam. You know, get these ready to mount. I could just clamp it, but I decided, let me move the camera. There we go. That might as well show you how to do that anyway. And I don't like putting too much stress on this, but before I get this wet with steam, I'm gonna mark the center of these rivets, just pushing in a screwdriver. That way when the paper comes off, which it will, I got a good marking for where these need to be. I'll have to figure it out again, so I'm just forcing in screwdriver in here. I'll do this one as well. Hey, I just got a pan of really hot water. I'm just going to put these pieces in. Let's poke them down. Get the tops wet a bit. And I don't know how long to give this. I haven't actually needed to do this ever on wood this thick. I've always done smaller wood on like wood ships and stuff. Normally you just do this with steam. You don't want to soak it. Alright, so what I'm just going to do is fit it and clamp it down. Alright, so that's clamped there. That's clamped tight there. This should be good. Now we can move to this one and do the same thing. Luckily these are small enough pieces as well to fit in a pot. Let's let this wood dry, and I have no idea how long that'll take. I don't think the water is seeped all the way into the middle of the wood, so it's mostly going to be the outside, but once we take these clamps off, we'll find out how much of a curve it held. Alright guys, that's going to do it for this video. Be sure to watch the next ones where we're going to finish up the shield. I'm going to put those up real soon. It's not going to take forever like this one did. Also, I got a lot of questions that I really want to spend some time answering. You guys sent me some great questions, so we're going to do that later on. And I got, again, a few announcements about the channel and some other cool stuff. And also, somebody sent a donation that I want to talk about, and that was really awesome. So whoever that is, thank you, because it's anonymous, I don't know, but I want to talk about that more in depth too. But that's going to do it for this video, and I'll see you guys real soon. Thanks.